Welcome to week 11 of 16 weeks of SATs. Now, this week is a huge week. I've got three videos all dedicated to reasoning. I've had lots of requests for reasoning videos, and so there's this video and two that are going to follow it. Now, what I've tried to do this week is, rather than just giving you the standard sort of reasoning preparation video about reading the question properly, using your equipment correctly, having a ruler, using your protractor when asked, underlining the key information, and all of those standard questions that your teachers will cover, what I've tried to do is produce three videos where each video has a really consistent theme of questions that you can study in this video. I will take you through the problems, and then from that situation you can then see these questions crop up. So these questions happen in today's video. Especially, we're going to look at hidden arithmetic. Now, what I mean by, you won't have heard that phrase anywhere else, but what I mean by hidden arithmetic are questions that you will encounter in the SATs paper that have lots of information and grids and pictures and numbers, and they take up a whole page, but ultimately all they really want you to do is something that you would do in the arithmetic paper, which is just carry out a really simple strategy like column addition, column subtraction, maybe a multiplication or a division. Okay, so this video is going to focus specifically on that concept of hidden arithmetic, and within your SATs papers there are lots and lots of these questions that, although there's a huge amount of information, all they really require you to do is do something that you would have done within your arithmetic paper. So the marks are there to be had. They're very simple, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. Before we move into the content though, a big request is to please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps me have the opportunity to film more content and provide these lessons. So please like the videos, please subscribe, but let's get into the content and show you how to identify and solve these hidden arithmetic problems. So, hidden arithmetic questions. Now, we're just going to get straight into it, and this is your typical hidden arithmetic style question. And what we mean by hidden arithmetic is that within these papers we've got a whole host of information. We've got the marks, we've got how it's laid out, we've got a bit of a question here, we've got lots of information, but ultimately all this question is really asking us to do is something that we would do in the arithmetic paper. Now, the key is being able to see, right, okay, we've got 2 marks over here. All right, now that is really an indicator that we're going to have to do 2 calculations. Okay, so there's 2 marks. The likelihood is we're going to need to do 2 steps to the problem. Okay, and I think looking at it this way, thinking of it more as a hidden arithmetic question rather than a 2-step problem. Let's use a pencil. If we see it as hidden arithmetic, just want to write that again. Then actually that starts to make us think about of what we need to do, because a 2-step problem, we can understand that we've got to do 2 steps, but if we know that we're going back to the foundations that we have of arithmetic, then great, we can be much more confident. So essentially all this question, the information that's important are these bits of information here, and the statement of how many games did the shop have left, which is indicating that we're going to need to do a subtraction at some point. So very simply, at the start of April, the shop had 15,000 games. They've sold. So again, it's really important to make sure that when we see words like sold, I'll just undo that. So when we see words like sold, really what sold is saying is it's taken away, hasn't it? We've taken away from the shop. Okay. So again, always in mind when you're using words like sold or bought or gave away, really think in more mathematical operations. Is giving something away an addition? Is it a subtraction? If we buy something, is that an addition? Are we getting something? Are we losing something? Are we spending something? So these are really important. So the shop sold these 2 amounts of games, and they had this. How many did they have left? So basically what we need to do is we need to add these together first. So there's the first mark, and then whatever the total of these are, we need to take them away from this. So essentially, the hidden arithmetic is just a column addition and a column subtraction. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the column addition over here out of the way. So we've got, and again, we've got 7,918, which everyone should be really confident with. Add 4,624. Very simple. I'm going to add them together. So we've got 8 add 4 is 12, carry the 1. We've got 1 add 2 is 3, add the 1 is 4. 9 add 6 is 15, carry the 1. 7 add 4 is 11, add the 1 is 12. Okay, so we've got 12,542. So this is the amount of games that have been sold in total, and they want to know how many is left. So we need to take this amount away from that. So very simply, we'll do that over here. So we've got 15,000, take away 12,542. Now you could have done this all in this box over here. I'm just doing it here just to save a little bit of space and make it a little bit more presentable for yourself. So let's have a little bit of a look. So again, we're going to have to exchange here from the 5. So 0 take away 2 here, we can't do that. So we're going to need to exchange from the 5 and exchange all the way along. So 0 take away 2, we can't do that. That becomes a 4, that becomes 10. We're going to exchange and so on. So we're now in a situation that we can solve the problem. 10 take away 2 is 8. 9 take away 4 is 5. 9 take away 5 is 4. 4 take away 2 is 2. And 1 take away 1 is 0. So that leaves us with 2,458. And as ever, we need to make sure that we transfer that amount into the answer box. Very simple. We've got an addition, and we've got a subtraction, and we've got our 2 marks. So the next question, very, very similar. Let's just get straight into highlighting some of the key information. So we've got this number here. We've got a total of people attending the rugby matches. So again, I'm thinking of this with my arithmetic lens on rather than my reasoning lens. We are doing reasoning, but we've got people attending match 1, match 2. So when I see match 1, match 2, or group 1, group 2, I'm always thinking, well, I'm probably going to need to add these together at some point. The likelihood is that. Here's the total. Here's who's attended so far. And then it says how many have attended match 3. So again, that's just working out the difference, isn't it? And if we need to work out the difference, then it's a subtraction. So again, this is exactly the same. We need to add these 2 numbers up, and then we need to subtract it from this number, and that will give us the remaining amount. Very, very simple, but you can see straight away how these problems are very, very common. So we've got 2,300, sorry, yeah, 234,869. I'm just doing this over here just to create a little bit of space. And that's the number that we're going to subtract from. So from first of all, we need to add 80,000 and 72,000 together. So let's do that over here. So we've got 80, 9, 7, 8, add 72,319. So nearly everybody should be very confident with this sort of strategy. Let's go ahead and do it. 8 add 9 is 17. We're going to carry the 1. 7 add 1 is 8. Add the 1 is 9. 9 add 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 0 add 2 is 2. Add the 1 is 3. And then 8 add 7 is 15. So, very simply, obviously, you could do this in the grids as well. I'm just going to do it over here. 153,287. This number is now going to end up over here, and we're going to do a subtraction. Okay, so 153,297. So very simply, we can just carry out that subtraction now. So 9 take away 7 is 2. 6 take away 9, we can't do that. So again, we need to use the skill of exchanging. So the 8 becomes a 7, and we exchange across. 16 take away 9 is 7. 7 take away 2 is 5. 4 take away 3 is 1. 3 take away 5, we can't do that, so we're going to need to exchange. 13 take away 5 is 8. and 1 take away 1 is 0. So at that point, we basically have our answer, and that needs transferring down into this box here. So we have 81,572, and that would get us our 2 marks for the 2 calculations that we've carried out. We've carried out a column addition, a column subtraction, 2 marks earned. So let's take a look at the next question. We've got Adam buys 4 pens and a ruler and pays £4.75 altogether. Jack buys 2 pens and pays £1.98. So in order to work out what the ruler costs, which is separate, what we're looking for in these sorts of questions, we're always looking at what's familiar in both of the sections, okay? And what's familiar here are the pens. So if we know what a certain amount of pens cost, that can help us solve the other bit. We can't solve the ruler yet, we're just guessing. So we must think, right, which bits match up in either side of the problem, and that's the pens. So we've got 2 here, we've got 4 here. To work out what 4 costs, we can just double 2. So let's do that. So again, you can see straight away, hidden arithmetic, we've just got an addition. So we've got £1.98, add £1.98. Now, you will most likely have been able to do that in your head, but I'm just doing it so that you can see it. 8 add 8 is 16, carry the 1. 9 add 9 is 18, add the 1 is 19, carry the 1, and we've got 3, okay? 1 add 1, add 1. So we've got £3.96 is equal to the 4 pens. So we know what the 4 pens cost here, and we know what the 4 pens plus the ruler costs is £4.75. So to work out the ruler, all we need to do is a subtraction. So we need to do £4.75, take away £3.96. Now again, most of you will be able to see that in your head and just add on to 4 pence to get to £4 and add that on to 75. So we should end up with 79 pence, but let's just do it to prove it anyway. So again, you might want to work, if it was on the SATs paper, you'd definitely be working here. I'm just going to work here just so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so we would do £4.75, take away £3.96. And again, I'm just doing this to show you the process. You could probably do this in your head in most instances and already be on with the answer. 5 take away 6, we can't do that. So we're going to exchange. 15 take away 6 is 9. 6 take away 9, we can't do that. So we're going to exchange again. 16 take away 9 is 7. And then obviously we're left with 3 take away 3, which is nothing. So essentially we've got no pounds and 79p. So the ruler costs 79p. So we need to make sure that that's transferred into the answer box. And we've got 79p. As I said, all the SATs workings out here that I've done, you would have done in these spaces here. So don't worry that I've left this blank. But essentially, again, we've got another question with an addition and then a subtraction, and we've got our answer. So again, hidden arithmetic. We've got lots of images and text hiding the fact that it's just 2 very straightforward calculations that we need to do. This question is slightly different now. Now, obviously, you can see straight away. So it's, again, switching on to the right mode. I can see money. Let's highlight that off. I can see we've got money, but that's also... My big thing here with money is that I'm thinking here, whole number. So the issue we've got with £15 is that it's a whole number, and we're probably going to have to work with decimals at some point, maybe. But I'm always thinking that. The next thing I can see is percentages, okay? Now, again, if we just go back to our arithmetic, like, look, if we look at this, we've got all these flashy signs, we've got sale, we've got everything else, we've got a picture of a T-shirt. It's not there to distract you, it's just real-world information. But again, as soon as I'm seeing percentages, I'm just thinking, this is asking me to find a percent, okay? And it's 2 marks, which we can see at the bottom. It's 2 marks, which means I'm probably going to have to do 2 things. I'm probably going to have to find a percentage, and then I'm probably going to have to subtract it. Normally, that's the case. Okay, reduced means it goes down, subtract. Okay, so a full price T-shirt is £15. The price is reduced by 30%. What is the reduced price? So I need to work out what 30% is first. So 30% of 15. Relatively simple to find out. Normally, we would just be able to do that information. So I need to find out 30% of £15. Now again, if we can do percentages and 10%, then I would just know that 10% is going to be equal to £1.50, isn't it? Okay, so 3 lots of that, 30%, £1.50 times 3 is going to be £4.50. All right, so we should have been able to get 30% very, very quickly by just finding 10% of £15, which is £1.50, and then adding 3 of those together to get £4.50. So now we know that 30% is equal to £4.50, excuse the bleep. Then we can take that away, because this question basically says the full price of the t-shirt is £15. The price goes down or is reduced by 30%. What is the reduced price? So in order to work that out, we need to subtract £4.50 from £15. And again, what this is doing is giving us the situation where we've got 15 as a whole number, take away £4.50. And that just goes back to being able to subtract decimals. Now, ideally, you would just be able to see that the answer is going to be £10.50. We should be able to work that out mentally by just taking £4 away and then taking 50 pence away. Very, very simple. But if we were to write it down, let's have a quick look. We've got 15, take away £4.50. And again, my pencil's a little bit thick, which doesn't help, but I'll do it anyway just to show you. Now at this point, I'll just make my pencil slightly smaller. We can do our subtraction. So 0 take away 0, well, we're just left with 0. 0 take away 5, we can't do that, so we're going to need to exchange. That becomes 10. 10 take away 5 is 5, decimal column. 4 take away 4 is 0, and 1, there's nothing to take away, so that just drops down. So we've got £10.50, okay? So straight away, that answer needs to just be dropped into there, so we've got £10 and 50 pence. That would give us our 2 marks, very, very simply. And again, ultimately, all of this little jottings that I've done are for your benefit and here, but if you could just do this mentally in your head and go, right, well, I know that 10% is £1.50, that's £4.50, take that away, and then you just wrote £10.50 in the answer box because you could get there yourself, then fantastic. Job done straight away. And that's the beauty of it, that a lot of this hidden arithmetic is really simple to carry out. You don't need to do all these written strategies. I'm showing you just to visualize it, but if you can see that in your head and get to this point, then absolutely fantastic. So again, with this question, relatively simple. Again, what we need to do, so there are 20 boxes on a truck. There are 4 different sizes. So we've got this one, this one, this one. And it's basically saying, again, hidden arithmetic. We've got 2 of these, 6 of these, 8 of these, 4 of these. And basically at that point, we're just doing multiplications. So again, I'll be just making lots of notes and going, right, well, this one is basically saying 2 times 13. So I've got 2 times 13. So I know that's 26 kilograms. So that's that one done. 6 times 2.5. So I've got 6 times 2.5. Okay, so 6 times 2 is going to be 12. Add 6 times 0.5, which is going to be 3. So that's going to be 15 kilograms. So I've done that one. And again, I would be actively crossing these off so I don't get mixed up. I've then got 8 times 4 kilograms, which I know is 32 kilograms. And then I've got 4 times 6.5. So I've got 4 times 6.5. Well, I know 4 times 6 is 24. And then 4 times 0.5 is 2. So that's going to be 26 kilograms. So at that point, I've essentially done the problem. And you're getting a mark for that. Again, 2-mark question. We've got this piece of information, this piece of information, this piece. So we've got 4 sets of kilograms. And then from that point, basically, we're looking to add them together. And again, if it was me, I probably wouldn't be doing some form of written strategy. I'd be looking to just add on the go, really. So I'd be doing over here, I'd be doing 26, add 15 just in my head because I should be able to do that. It's 26, add 10 is 36, add 5 is 41. So I'd make a little note of that. That's annoying. 41. Then I'd add 32 onto that, so 41 add 32. So 41 add 30 is 71. Add the 2 is 73. So I'm just adding as I go. And then I'm adding 26 on. So 73 add 20 is 93. Add the 6 is 99. So I know that I've got 99 kilograms. And again, that then comes down into this area where we would answer the question and get our mark with 99 kilograms. And again, just to finish the sentiment on this question, again, there's a lot of information, total mass, 20 boxes. I think the 20 boxes might confuse people by maybe doing a multiplication by 20. But ultimately, it's just seeing that you see this question type and think, it's just a hidden arithmetic question. All we've done there is just some mental multiplications, making some notes as we go, job done. And then I've added them all together. So they're the 2 steps. That's the multi-step. But the multi-step is really, in a lot of instances, hidden arithmetic. So again, another question here. Now, that again, straight away, we've got this classic sort of hidden arithmetic sort of question style. We've got 2 marks, which is telling me I'm going to need to do 2 things over here. I'm going to need to do 2 operations. And again, I can see percentages, which is great. I can see this number and I can see this number. These are all really the bits of information that are important. So first of all, it says 35% of the 680 pupils at the school have a pet dog, but it doesn't tell you how many of that is, all right? Then it says 159 of the pupils who have a pet dog, of these are boys, how many are girls? So naturally, what some people would do is just subtract this from this to get the answer, but that's not the case. We need to know what 35% of we need to know what the total number of people who are that have dogs. So in order to do that, we need to find 35% of 680, which is an arithmetic question, and then we need to subtract this away from it to find out the girls. Very, very simple. So 35%, if I was finding 35% of 680, I would go to my 10%. So let's just write it down. 35% of 680. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing it so that you can see it. So 10% of that is going to be 68. 5% of that is going to be half again. So that is going to be 34. So at that point, we can very, very simply get our 35% by adding 3 lots of 68 and 1 lot of 34. And again, at this point, this is where some pupils might fall down. If you're not sure on what 3 lots of 68 are, just use the space around you to add it up. And again, I'll just do that as well. So I've got 68, add 68, if you needed to do it really quickly. And this just goes to show it's not a waste of time. 6 add 6 is 12, add the 1 is 13. So very quickly I get 136, and then I'm going to add 68 again. Just, 6 add 8 is 14. Carry the 1, 3 add 9, 3 add 6 is 9, add the 1 is 10, carry the 1, so we've got 204. So straight away I get to 204, and then I'm going to add my 34. All right, so 34 is my 5% because I've got 10%, 10%, 10%. So there's my 30%, and now I'm adding my 5%. So that is going to be dead straightforward. We've got 8, 3, and 2. So we've got 238. So we know the total number, the 35% of the 680 pupils that have a pet dog, the total number of people that have a pet dog is 238. So we've got 238. The boys are 159. So to work out the girls, we just need to subtract the boys from the total amount, which makes complete sense and is essentially just, again, another arithmetic problem that just needs solving. So again, we've got 8 take away 9, we can't do that, so we're going to exchange. 18 take away 9 is 9. 2 take away 5, we can't do that, so we're going to exchange again. 12 take away 5 is 7. And then we've got 1 take away 1, which is 0. So that leaves us with 79. That would be our answer. So we would make sure that that goes in the answer box. And that would be that question solved with, again, just going back to finding a percentage, step 1, doing a subtraction. And both of these things are very, very simple to do. And they are just things that you would do in your arithmetic paper. And again, this one, essentially hidden arithmetic. This time, you can see there are 3 marks available. 3 marks. That's a huge amount of marks for what is essentially a relatively straightforward problem. And the reason it's 3 marks is because we're basically going to do 2 sets of long multiplication. So we've got Layla makes jewellery to sell at a school fair. Each bracelet has 53 beads. She makes 68. So straight away I'm thinking 58 beads on a bracelet. She makes 68 of them. In my head, that's going to be a multiplication. And then there's another one, and she makes 34 of them. So basically, I need to work out how many beads are in total here and how many beads are in total here. And then I need to add them together. So I've got 2 multiplications and an addition. So that's where the 3 marks are coming from. So again, I'm going to utilize the whole page. But for this first part, this bit, let's get the pen. We're going to do our long multiplication here. And that's all this question is testing. So we've got 53 times 68. And again, it's going back to our long multiplication. All right. So I know that I've got my placeholder 0, and then I can start the problem. 8 times 3 is 24. So I'm going to put my 4 in, and I'm just going to carry the 2 into here. 8 times 5 is 40. Add the 2 is 42. So we've got 2. So there we go. Now we're multiplying by a 10. So we've got our placeholder 0, and we're going to do 6 times 3 and then 6 times 5. So 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. And then we've got 6 times 5, which is 30. Add the 1 is 31. Okay. Then I'm going to add that up. So I've got 4. 8 add 2 is 0. Carry the 1. 4 add 1 is 5. Add the 1 is 6. And then the 3. So we get to 3,604 beads. Then again, we're going to drop straight into the next part. Let's do that down here. So let's have 105 times 34. And again, we're multiplying by a 2-digit number, so we need our placeholder 0. And we can then carry on doing the problem from there. So I'm just going to change my color. So I've got 4 times 5 is 20. So 0, carry the 2. 4 times 0 is 0. Add the 2. So we have 2. And then 4 times 1 is 4. Then because we're now multiplying by a 10, because this is representative of 30, we've got our placeholder 0. We're going to do 3 times 5, 3 times 0, 3 times 1. So again, we've got 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 0 is 0. Add the 1 is 1. And then 3 times 1 is 3. And again, we need to add these up. So we'll do that. That's going to be 0. That's going to be 7. That's going to be 5. And this is going to be 3. So the 2 numbers that we've got, the 2 totals of beads, are this number and this number. And if you've done this in this area here, and you get the final bit wrong, you would still get 2 marks. So it's worth doing that. But again, there's nothing difficult here. It's a little bit time consuming. And this is one where you're going to have to go through the process of doing them. But you would utilize the space, do these 2 calculations, and then all you've got to do is add these 2 together, which again is relatively simple. I'm just going to do this quite large in the final space. So we've got 3,604. Add 3,570. Very, very simple. Just bring the ruler in. Okay. So at that point, it's just a case of adding them up together. 4 add 0 is 4. 0 add 7 is 7. 6 add 5 is 11. Carry the 1. 3 add 3 is 6. Add the 1 is 7. And that answer would get transferred into here. She uses 7,174 beads. And that would get you the 3 marks. But again, there's nothing difficult here. This is a 3-mark question. And I remember seeing this the first time I was in the SATs and reading the question thinking, it's just a long multiplication. It's just a long multiplication. Children will go wrong here. I'll show you where you will go wrong. Is forgetting to have your placeholder zeros for the long multiplication. But again, in the SATs papers, long multiplication is worth 2 marks. So again, it's a tough question because there's a lot to do, but it's an easy question in terms of what you're actually doing. You've got a skill that you know how to do, a skill that you know how to do, and a very, very basic skill that you know how to do in column addition to get the mark. And again, let's have a look at this one and think straight away. We should see that it just looks like this hidden arithmetic. We've got 2 marks, so we're going to need to do 2 things. A box contains trays of melons. We can see that here. 15 in a tray, and there's 3 trays in a box. So for me, that's just screaming multiplication straight away. A supermarket sells 40 boxes of the melons. How many do they sell? So how many is always making me think addition and multiplication. So again, this bit here is just a multiplication. And also, so is this. So we've got 2. So 15 trays, 3 trays in a box. So 15 times 3 is 45. So straight away, we know in this box, there are 45 melons. And again, it sells 40 boxes. So all we need to do is 40 times 45 to get the mark. And again, much like the last question that we looked at, this is it's spotting that this is a long multiplication. And we need to make sure that this placeholding 0 allows us to structure the question properly. So again, we're going to do 5 times 0 and 5 times 4. So 5 times 0 is 0. Let's go at the pen function is 0. And 5 times 4 is 20. So that would end up like that. Then we've got 4 times 0 and 4 times 4. Placeholding 0 is already there, which is great. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. Straight away, we can then add this up. Job done. And again, the actual maths that we're doing here is so basic. That was so basic. This was so basic. And that gives us an answer of 18,000 melons. We need to transfer that into here. And that would have got us the 2 marks. Really, really simple. A little bit of mental arithmetic and then a long multiplication. Very simple. You would have carried that out in here or the space that you have in your SATs paper, and you would have got the 2 marks really, really easily. So the final question of the hidden arithmetic, and there are more. There's another 10 of these that I could have gone through with you. But again, let's just see what the key information is. What tells us it's a hidden arithmetic? This is only 1 mark, but again, it's very straightforward. Jack has £400. He spends 35% of that amount on his new bike. How much does he spend on his new bike? So this is literally just finding a percent. There isn't then a next step. It's just what is, all that question is asking is 30%. Let's make it look like a SATs question. 30% of £400. And again, that's how it would look in an arithmetic question, wouldn't it? And everyone should be really confident that. Sorry, it's 35%, isn't it? So I'll just adjust that so we don't make that mistake. So it's 35%. I'll just rub all of that out. 35%. So again, finding 35%, we've done that already in a previous video, is just finding 30%, finding 5%, and adding it together. So 10% of 400 is 40. So I've got 3 lots of that, which is going to give me 120. And then 5% is obviously 20. So I'm going to add that on. So it ends up with 140. So how much does Jack spend on his new bike? He spends £140. He spends 35% of his money on a new bike. So that's very, very straightforward. And again, I've made some mental calculations here and written them down. You could have done this in your head very, very easily. But again, it's just see, we've got a lovely picture of a bike. We've got all this information down here. We've got information up here. All this question is doing is asking us a question that we would have solved in the arithmetic paper, which is this. What is 35% of 400? And nearly everybody, I bet, in this video can do that. But I guess that people would get it wrong because of the context. So again, that's what hidden arithmetic questions are all about. They're very visible. There's lots of them in the SATs papers. And that hopefully these examples have shown you that when you see them, you don't need to panic. Use the marks that are down here to guide you. If it's 2 marks, you're going to have to do 2 things or 2 operations. And in nearly all of these videos or all of these examples, it's always been an addition and subtraction. It's been an addition and a multiplication, or 2 multiplications, or 2 subtractions. So the things that we're having to do are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and not very often division. So we can be really confident with these questions and know that we're going to get the marks really easily by spotting the fact that they are a hidden arithmetic question. Hidden arithmetic questions. Well, I told you, didn't I? So these questions are very, very common. As you've seen, most of them have 2 marks available. Very, very often have 2 marks available because they will have been classified as multi-step problems. You'll have been taught them that way, where there's 2 steps to the problem and we need to make sure that we're doing both of them to get the mark. We can get one, but I think the key takeaway, again, with the reasoning paper, is to make sure that we don't worry too much about the fact that it's reasoning, because nearly all of the reasoning paper is just asking us to do things that the arithmetic paper would do, but it's put into real world problems. It's with buying milk and giving change and everything else that goes with it. So we just need to use what we know from the arithmetic paper and try to relax and just apply that into the reasoning paper. And again, Sats Like a Ninja goes into all of that content in huge amounts of detail to help you. So definitely get your hands on a copy of that. And as we finish this video, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out and it helps me film more of this content. So be sure to check out the other 2 videos that are going live this weekend as well, which are about converting units and also simple decimal questions that are super easy marks and they crop up a lot in your SATs papers. So thanks for getting involved in this video. Please make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.